Hey folks, Ray at DCRainmaker.com here, and today we get your first look at the new Fitbit Versa 2. This is the successor to the Fitbit Versa 1, which you probably figured out by now. But I'm going to talk through 9 new things on the Fitbit Versa 2 that make it unique compared to the Fitbit Versa 1, as well as in a lot of ways the rest of the existing Fitbit family. Almost all these 9 things are brand new to Fitbit versus stuff that we may have seen in the past. The very first item on the list is Alexa support. So you can now go ahead and hold the left-hand button right there and then simply ask Alexa something. You can say, Alexa, how many donuts are in a baker's dozen? And then it thinks for a while. It thinks actually for a fairly long while. It's still thinking, in fact. And then it comes back and tells you exactly how many donuts are in a baker's dozen. You can also ask it to order things on Amazon, of course, like any other Alexa device out there, or you can go ahead and do reminders as well, for example, setting an alarm for later on. All the kind of usual stuff that you'd expect from Alexa. The way it works is the microphone just on the side right there, and then you authorize your account within Amazon. So it's not something you're going to accidentally do. You've got to go through a bunch of steps, authorization, all that kind of stuff, sort of what you'd expect. And then from there, it'll give you text responses back. In addition, with that microphone, if you are on Android, you can also reply to text messages as well using just your voice. On iOS, that's not permitted because Apple doesn't allow third parties to do that. Maybe down the road, they allow it on the Apple Watch, but of course not for third parties. Oh hey, if you're finding this interesting, go ahead and hit that like button right now at the bottom there. It really helps out the channel and the video quite a bit. Next is something I'm super excited about, which is Spotify offline support. I'm a huge Spotify person and, sorry, one second. It's Fitbit. Oh, there's no offline support? So what's the app for? Oh, that's kind of useless. Okay, you don't think it's useless? Anyways, we'll just chat later. So there's not Spotify offline support. And in fact, there's actually just Spotify, an app on there, but you can't really do anything with it except for control your phone. Come on, Fitbit, this isn't like 2012 anymore. So what they've added is they've added a new Spotify app, and you can see the libraries, you can go into libraries, you can go into podcasts, you can do all the kind of stuff that you see from the normal Spotify app, and then you can choose it here, and then it plays it on your phone. It doesn't actually put anything on the device itself. You can go ahead and connect to speakers and whatnot, which is kind of cool. You can change that, but I don't know who's really doing that from the watch. I've been trying it around here. I've got some Sonos speakers and whatnot, and it's just super laggy. So I was expecting Spotify offline support like we've seen on Garmin, on Android Wear or Wear OS. Honestly, when I saw Spotify on the spec sheet for this watch, I was super excited. I was like, yes, this is what I've been finally waiting for. And then it fell flat when I tried to actually use it and found out I couldn't put anything on my watch itself. But there is something exciting, which is number 3 on the list, the always-on display. Now on the Versa 2, you can set an always-on display mode. In fact, that's actually what's on right now, where the display is always on no matter what I'm doing with my wrist. Versus previously with the Versa and the Ionic, you had to go ahead and raise your wrist to see the time or whatever you wanted to on your watch face. Versus right now, you can see it right there, in fact, and it's on 24/7. So that's kind of handy. Now the one downside of that is that it goes ahead and reduces down your battery life to 2 days versus the normal 5 days if you turn off always on display. But if you turn that off, then simply you raise your wrist and hopefully the display will go ahead and show you the time there and you can use the watch like normal. Now in conjunction with that, they have added a new nighttime mode, which will go ahead and basically shut off the screen in between set hours. So you can still have it be totally dark at night, so you're not kind of getting that flashlight effect. Speaking of that screen, that is number 4 on the list, which is the new AMOLED display screen there. And that's probably one of the reasons why Fitbit is able to go ahead and do this longer always-on battery life, and the fact that the screen just simply gets better battery life than the previous one. It's also supposed to be brighter and more crisp and vibrant and all that kind of stuff, and maybe, I don't know, they seem pretty darn similar to me, and using both here and outside and bright, sunny, and overcast. There's not really too much of a difference there. What is, however, noticeable is the fact that there's only one button now. This single button right there, they've gotten rid of the 2 buttons on the right-hand side and kind of matched what the Versa Lite had when they released that. So touchscreen, of course, is still there. So you use a touchscreen for the vast majority of touches, and the button is gone on the right-hand side. The left-hand side button there is for accessing Alexa or accessing your wallet. You can choose which one you want just by simply the long hold there. It's also used to get back through the menus and whatnot. Finally, there's a new processor in that as well, which speeds up some some of the interactions that you have in terms of like animations and things like that. And Fitbit said that'll help keep things a little more fluid within the menu system. Number 5 on the list is the inclusion of Fitbit Pay in this at the base price point. Previously, if you wanted Fitbit Pay, which is their contactless payment platform, you had to go ahead and pay for the special edition, which was an extra $30. Now it's included in the base price point at $199. Now, of course, contactless payments allows you to take this watch, you load a credit card on there from one of the supported banks, and then you can go to a Starbucks or wherever else and order your non-fat mocha frappuccino light with extra whip twice or something. You can do whatever you want to do, tap, pay, your go. It works pretty well, you're done. The next one on the list is that Sleep Score is finally no longer in beta. This is something I talked about a year ago, and it's gone like from supposed to be the next great thing on Fitbit to beta to we don't talk about it at all sort of thing. And so they've completed that circle of life, and here we are a year later, and they're saying it's coming out next month in September to everyone. It's going to be available across the board for free. Now, Sleep Score is basically 3 things. Number 1 is how much you do sleep, and there's a bit of a curve there. So if you slept like 3 hours, that's pretty bad. But if you sleep like 7 or 8 hours, that's the top, that's pretty good. But then you go back down the hill again when you get to like 10, 12, 13 hours, that's also considered somewhat bad. The second part that's comprised of is the sleep state. So do you get deep sleep and REM sleep as part of that? If you didn't, then it's probably light sleep, which is bad sleep. So for example, last night I was on the airplane, a bunch of things jostling around, not really great sleep. So my sleep score probably not very ideal. And number 3 is the restorative aspect of sleep. In other words, are you seeing your resting heart rate decrease over time? And it doesn't decrease initially, but it decreases towards the end of the night. And that's something they're tracking using the optical heart rate sensor on the back. So those are the 3 things that pull together. They give you a sleep score between 0 and 100. And you can see what that looks like right there. Again, it's not yet enabled on my device, so I can't really show you that. But hopefully this year of waiting will mean something. Speaking of using some of that sleep data is the next one, which is smart alarms. You can now go ahead and set a smart alarm at a given time, for example, 7:15 a.m., and then it'll look at a half an hour window prior to that smart alarm to go ahead and tell you when to wake up. So let's say you set your alarm again for 7:15 a.m., and then it sees at 6:58 a.m. that you're in a light sleep. That's the point in time where it's probably going to go ahead and wake you up. Versus if it waited till 7:12 and you're back in a deep sleep, that means when you wake up, you're going to be a bit more groggy and a bit more less thrilled about life. Now, this is something that we've seen other apps do for like a decade or something, a long, long time, but we haven't really seen any of the major players do this. So it's nice to see Fitbit get into this, and hopefully we'll see some others do it as well. Next is something that Fitbit's really kind of betting the farm on a bit here, and they've placed a lot of emphasis on this, which is Fitbit Premium. And that is their new, or latest anyways, premium paid subscription service that gives you things back, information back. And so it's grouping that information in different categories. Some of it's guidance around things like if you want to do a guided program for losing weight, or a guided program for increasing activity, or a guided program for sleep. And then some of it's smart insights that pop up on your app that take the existing insights I had and add a little more like you factor to it. So it includes your step information, your sleep information. It correlates your sleep with your steps and pulls it together and gives you some guidance. It's not bad. It's $9 a month or $79 a year. They've got a lot of factors to this. Some of them are going to launch immediately, and some of them are more down the road here. It'll be interesting to see if Fitbit can pull this off. I think the offering as it stands right now is a little bit light, if you will, on substance, I guess you could say. It just simply doesn't offer a ton for the cost per month. Fitbit says that they want to change their model from being very cyclical based on new device sales to being something that's more subscription based longer term. The challenge is right now that offering is pretty darn similar to what they already have in the app for free, and pretty similar to what most other companies do for free as well. So I think Fitbit really needs to kick it up a notch to go ahead and get people to buy on board with this. Last on the list is number 9, which is that Fitbit has a ton of new accessory straps, which they usually do at their product launches. They've got some new sport ones, a little more breathable, for example. They got some new swanky ones that are more swankyable. They look nicer, like if you're in a dress and a tie or whatever it is that you do. It's supposed to look fancier. But the one I'm probably most excited about is a partnership with Recco. They've created a Recco Fitbit Versa strap, and all these straps are good across the entire Fitbit Versa line, by the way. And that strap has a passive beacon in it. Much like many other products, there's like 150 products, in fact, that Recco has partnered with to put that passive beacon in in, that, for example, jackets and ski boots and also things like that in case you are in an avalanche. Of course, you do need to have a friend that has an active beacon to go ahead and ping and find your device. But I think that's just simply one more layer, and it's kind of a cool partnership idea. While this might not be the perfect Fitbit for people that are like high backcountry adventurous type folks, the reality is there are a crap ton of people that are backcountry skiing with a Fitbit device. And so this seems like a pretty natural blend. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Fitbit Versa 2 comes in at $199. They do have some special edition bundles for about $220 that include some different straps and whatnot. The whole thing is set to start shipping in September. In addition, they have a new Area Air scale coming out. That's $49 for a Bluetooth smart scale. So they take away the Wi-Fi of the existing Area 2 scale. Just a Bluetooth smart, gives you body weight and BMI. Be paired with multiple people in your household as well, and it logs all that data into the Fitbit app so that not only the Fitbit app can use it, but some of the premium features as well as wellness program like corporate wellness programs can go ahead and use that. $49, pretty reasonable price for a mainstream branded scale. There are plenty like cheaper scales on Amazon, like $30 to $40 that are Bluetooth smart, but they don't connect to any of the mainstream apps that you would expect. So it's kind of nice to see Fitbit offering something in that price category. That will go on sale in September, but not start shipping until October. So with that, there is everything you want to know about the new Fitbit Versa 2. Also check out my full post down in the description there. Has crap tons of more details about the Fitbit Versa 2, including my first run, accuracy testing, heart rate accuracy, all that stuff is all in there. Oh, and then last but not least, do not forget to hit the subscribe button or the ding dong bell there. There is a ton of new sports technology stuff coming up over the next 8-9 days right now. You do not want to miss out. Have a good one.